Hello everyone, I know no one's probably going to be tuned into this. I haven't done a live video on the YamYam page for a while because I have been so busy. I'm going to be doing a few videos soon showing you exactly what's coming up because I've got a lot to share with you, and I've been working very hard in my workshop. As people who know me will know, a lot of my arcade machines have been moved around, and I'm now working on getting a few more fixer-uppers sorted out and put out the door. Now, a few of you have been following the pictures I've been putting up. I know I haven't been covering any of my rare consoles or anything like that, but arcades are my first passion, and everybody knows that I like to make the best of my collection. Now, I don't have loads of the true super classics. I certainly haven't got the money to do that, but I have got a collection of nearly 30 machines now, and the last few still need fixing up, but I've been working on a few new ones. Now, there's a lot of games which aren't regarded as super classics, but they are highly playable games, and they are what I call crowd pleasers. And when it comes to the events and things like that, fighting games and multiplayer games especially are some of the most popular games to put out because, well, everybody can kind of get side by side and play them with infinite credits and enjoy them. I've already got two of the key ones. I've already got The Simpsons, and I've already got Turtles 4-player machines. Now, I want to get some more machines in, obviously, but some machines are hard to get. Moonwalker is one of them, although they do appear occasionally. But one of the others I really wanted to get was Alien Storm. Now, I loved the cooperative brawl games on the Mega Drive back in the day. I used to play them religiously with my mates, Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, and of course there was an Alien Storm game. Now, one thing that the arcade version of Alien Storm had that was very different was, unlike Golden Axe, even though it had 3 selectable characters, it was only ever 2-player Golden Axe. Well, Alien Storm Arcade is 3-player. So I thought how cool it'd be to get one. Now, when I actually started looking into it, I realised how hard it was to get Alien Storm. Apparently, it's one of those boards that tends to die with alarming frequency. It's harder to come by than a Moonwalker, and the Euro cabs, which is what you're most likely to get, there weren't very many of them. And apparently, the last Alien Storm board I saw come up, the board alone was like £800, and that's just ridiculous just for a PCB. And I'm a firm believer in, I mean, yeah, preserve what you've got, but I'm not a believer in spending ridiculous amounts just to play your favourite games, especially when they're not that highly collectible and may not hold the value quite as well in the hearts of people. So I started looking around, and I've recently been doing some conversions because I wanted to get a few more dedicated cabinets. Now, just because I don't have the American dedicated cabinets you find pictures of on the internet, a big part of British history really was jammer conversions. Most games I ever played were on converted jammer cabinets. Now, they were badly done through, shady operators and things like that. So I started figuring, well, let's see if we can do it better, but let's do it on my budget. So I've been converting a few games. As people have seen, I've been posting up pictures. I've been converting 2 perfect jammer cabinets into Double Dragon 1 and 2 cabs, which I own the original boards for. And I've also transferred my Terra Cresta into a little Cabaret cabinet, which is perfect for it. And I started looking around. Now, one thing you find quite often on the UK market is dedicated Golden Tee cabinets. Golden Tee is massive in America. It's a golf game. And they've been releasing them for about 25 years altogether now, I think, since the very first one. And, they were popular for pubs and things like that, but not of much value to arcade collectors and gamers in general. And they're becoming very easy to pick up and very cheap to get. The best thing about them is the profile of them is huge, which most people can't accommodate in their house. They're very akin to, say, the Midway Fighters, which obviously you can see at the back there. I've got my Mortal Kombat 2. Not quite as big as that, but, large regardless. And so people don't want them. But the best thing about them, I know from experience, is that they are still a manageable size. You can put them up on 4 wheels and they glide quite well. And the available space inside and the way they're constructed makes them prime candidates for conversion. Now, I already converted a Golden Tee 2003 which had the larger marquee section, into a Neo Geo Big Red, which is very similar to a Big Red that was released in Europe and in America. And it turned out pretty well. All I had to do was make a new control panel for it. Well, this one came up through a friend, Nick from Vintage Gamer, who put me onto this one, and it had already been a bit butchered. The front panel had been smashed off, and there was no coin door. It was gutted, but as with all of these, they've got a very, very good 25-inch Hunter-X monitor. And they're great monitors, and they last well, and they're nice. They've got a rich colour, they've got a really crisp image, and they're perfectly serviceable, unlike some of the older monitors. So they're perfect candidates for conversion if you've got the room. Now, when I started looking at various things I wanted to do, this one came up, and I couldn't turn it down for the price I paid for it. And I thought, well, what shall I do with it? Shall I make another fighter? But then I thought, well, no, I've got a few fighters now. And I started looking at like multiplayers, and I thought, well, the profile might make it a suitable gauntlet cabinet. But I thought, no, I'm going to hold on for a gauntlet, because I do really want a gauntlet. And the width wasn't quite there for a gauntlet. So I started looking at measurements, and I looked at the Sega Euro cab that was designed for Moonwalker, which I saw at an event recently, our own revival. And I saw them at... I've seen them on like UK Vac and places like that. And when I started looking at the dimensions, I realised it wasn't actually far off the shape and the side profile of these Golden Tee cabinets, give or take the control panel. To answer your question, Jack, no, I don't resell ones that I fix up. I used to build, well, I still do build custom arcade machines. That's what I'm known for. I've been doing that for about 15 years now, with the most prolific in Europe. But I've had to knock that on the head now, because the market's become really competitive. The demographics changing, and the margins just aren't there. So, but I'm still a dab hand at creating things custom from scratch. I've built up my skills over the years. Occasionally I've got like a fixer-upper I do sell on, but not ones as good as this, because there's a lot of time and effort's gone into it. Not so much money, but certainly time and effort. So anyway, continuing with this one. Because it's so close to that, I thought, should I do a Moonwalker? And I thought, well, I can, but I know a couple of people who've got a Moonwalker. There's a possibility we might be able to get that for events. So let's get something we haven't seen before. Now, I loved Alien Storm, and when I realised it used the same cabinet as Moonwalker, and when I realised the Golden Tee cab was so close to the Sega Moonwalker cab, I thought it just made perfect sense to make an Alien Storm. So, what I've done to this cabinet... This is the Golden Tee 97 cabinet. It was originally white, and it's got the lower marquee because the later ones have got a large upper marquee section with like an LED scoreboard that used to be on Network Link. This has just got the lower marquee, and you can see how the angle of the screen is slightly different based on the side art, because the side art profile there follows what should be the angle of the screen on the original. But it's still a pleasing angle. But the width of the cabinet was actually perfect. This is the original control panel art size, not been resized. It's a reproduction, obviously, done by Ollie at Arcade Art Shop. And it just works out perfectly. So the only obstacle would obviously be to get the game and to get the art, assuming it was online. I couldn't find the art online. The only person I know who had it, and that's because he sampled the original cabinet himself, was Ollie. And he's worked with me to rework the marquee slightly to fit perfectly in that space. I still need to lift that up. That's on translucent vinyl, proper backlight stuff. And I just need to shift the art itself up a touch so the Sega logo is a bit more prominent. There's actually a little bit of give in there, so I'll adjust that slightly. Still got to fit the marquee light, but the side art's nice and simple. The original cabinet was just black with these Sega stripes, so that's worked out pretty cheap. Ollie's prices for the backlight marquees is really good. So we've got that on both sides. The whole cabinet's been painted black. The control panel, which I've had to modify heavily, the old Golden Tee control panel used to come out to about here. and I've literally had to chop it off, create the angles. I guessed at the angles before the art arrived. I had to modify it slightly afterwards. I've installed a panel at the front where the old one had been smashed off and replaced with a cupboard door. It's a bit dusty at the moment, but it just does the trick. It blanks it off. I don't need a coin door. It'll never go into coin operation. And as for getting the game, at the end of the day, it's easy enough to emulate. PC, locked off to a single game, is the way I've gone with this. So we've got the original 25-inch monitor in there. We've got the marquee there that'll be backlit. We've got the side art. Today I've managed to wire up most of the guts of it as a test rig. So you can see I've got the low power PC there. We've got the J-Pack already installed and cleaned up. That was one I recovered from another build many years ago. We've got the GBS 8100 there, doing the conversion on the VGA signal to CGA, which obviously steps it down from 31 kilohertz to 15 kilohertz. And you can see in the back of these just how much space you have to work with. You've got a big open plan floor there. You've got the isolation transformer. You've got the power supply there. The jammer wiring loom has got loads of slack on it to work with. The back of the monitor is nice and open. And it just works out really well. I've just got some speakers plugged in at the moment, but this PC is now locked off to just Alien Storm. I've set up the 3-player ROM, set it on free play, so we'll never need to add a coin mech or a coin button. And then we got this beautiful control panel here. This was kind of tricky to do. What Ollie had to do was he had to remove all of the standard labelling positions from the Euro cab. He left the player profile pictures in place. What's very strange about this Moonwalker is, if you look at it, you would think the allocation would be even for all 3 players, and it's not. For some reason, player 1's got this massive area, player 3's got this little area, and on the original cabinet, the one thing I have altered from original is the way the joysticks and buttons are positioned are not optimal for playing 3-player. Basically, player 2's controls are too close together. Player 1's controls are far too shifty round, and player 3's, you're dumped so far up the side of the screen here, it's ridiculous. So what I've done is I've altered the angles. The joysticks are still all mounted perpendicular to the screen like the original is. I've used these Suzo style flat top joysticks. They've got like a textured fixed ball top on them. I do like these sticks. People don't favour them these days. They all talk about Sanwas, but these are a lot harder wearing over time, and for games like this they're a lot more suitable. You know, my Simpsons cabinet uses similar joysticks, so does some of the Turtles cabinets, and I had to go through some friends to try and get this style because the Suzo 500s are no longer made. And this is the joystick I've actually seen on the only 2 Alien Storm cabinets I've seen, and some friends happen to have them, so I chucked them a few quid, and on they went. But they worked out perfect for this. They are designed for metal panels, so what I've had to do is, like I say, I've shifted the positioning around slightly, and there is some symmetry to this, even though it doesn't first appear it. Player 1 and 3's joysticks are actually at the same height up the control panel, and the space between all 3 joysticks is pretty much even though you can't tell from the artwork. But then we've got the 3-button arrangement done nice and evenly, as it appears, even though you can't see where the drill holes are for the mounting bolts. The buttons appear to be perfect with the angle of the corner there, and obviously all the button labels have been made like that. So Ollie made me a separate label sheet for the button labels, and obviously I moved this all around the way I wanted, and it's now a lot more comfortable for 3 adults to stand at and play. So, Andy, you'll love it, mate, when you get to play it. So yeah, those are all done. I've stripped down and resprayed the lockdown bar there against the screen. I've resprayed the marquee retainers. They were already pretty good condition anyway, but they were in white, so I've redone those in black. I've took out the old manky T-moulding and replaced it all with brand new black T-moulding. Someone said I should have gone with the colour, but I'm trying to go as close to the original cabinet as I can. The cabinet's not perfect. But what I like about it is I've managed to keep enough of the original features of this older cabinet and added enough new stuff that it looks like a pretty well preserved original cabinet. Now, anybody who's never seen the original cabinet, never seen the original Alien Storm arcade machine, would probably have to give it a second look to think that it's not an original. I've had to completely re-sculpt the front of the cabinet to match the profile of the control panel. Like I say, the original cabinet would have been, the actual control panel comes in narrower than the cabinet, whereas it slightly overhangs on this, but it works out perfectly for this. And Ollie even had the proper Sega bezel for this. It's been trimmed to perfectly fit this width cabinet, because obviously it was a bit wider originally. These chevrons here extend a bit further past normally. And that's been done on face adhesive rear application film. So that's actually on the back of the glass, so it won't get scratched up or marked on the front. There's a few bubbles in it. I tried to smooth out as best I could, but it's not easy to do. And he's actually added these player panels here, which are usually only seen on the Japanese cabinet, so it's done pretty well. The cabinet's still got its original plastic bezel underneath, so that just finishes everything up nicely, makes it look original. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. You know, the few little battle scars it's got from being an original cabinet, like there's a little nick in the paintwork here, you know, there's the odd scratch down there which you can just about see in the light, things like that. They don't matter to me. It's how it plays that matters. I mean, you've got brand new controls and things like that, trying to keep them original. I think it works pretty well, and I'm very, very happy with this, because I know it's a game that nobody really owns. It looks fairly authentic, you know what I mean? It's not far off. When I showed Ollie, he was amazed at how close it is to the original cabinet in terms of proportions, and yeah, it's going to make a brilliant machine to have at events. So not much to do now. Like I say, I've ordered some yellow buttons. I'd run out of yellow buttons. I thought I'd ordered some in for this, but I'd ordered red and blue and not yellow for some reason. And I've got to finish the wiring, because obviously the wiring loom was intended for a golf game. It's still jammer wired, but it needs a lot of wires adding, because I need 24 inputs altogether, and I've only got about 4 because it only had like a couple of buttons on the control panel originally. And yeah, to be honest, I think this is the best use of those old golf cabinets, and so I'm pretty proud of. So anyway, they say a picture speaks 1,000 words, a video speaks 1,000 pictures, and that's why I thought, even though it's unfinished, I should have probably held off and resisted temptation to actually show it today, but I really just wanted to show it all working, you know, and show people how far I've come with it. And if you want to look back on my wall to see how far I've actually come with the conversion, look at it originally, you'll see how much it's changed. And yeah, a few extra touches now, that'll be finished, and this will be ready to use at events anyway. So anyway, hope you like the video. Appreciate any comments or suggestions. I've got some more videos coming up. I'm going to explain what I've been up to the last couple of months. We're covering some Spectrum Next stuff, some other consoles that I've acquired, and talk about some events that I'm going to. But yeah, I've got a few other arcade conversions due, and I'll show you those as soon as I can. But till then, take it easy. See you later.